I'll stand by.
Okay.
I don't know the deal.
Sorry for the stress.
There's no stress at all.
I was stressed.
All right.
I don't like when stuff doesn't work.
No.
Have some things you work with for now.
Very good.
Actually, I was being kind by saying that.
There's one little switch.
The iris looks really hot, the auto iris, but it's not, huh? Do you just use auto iris? I think
when I tried to manually override it,
Okay, okay. Okay, well that's okay.
I wish we had a monitor. We don't have an extra phone number.
Like judges.
Audios are separate.
You're just following along.
Much like the
I will
same thing on my
do
camera.
the first 2 full screens and then come on
Okay,
camera and talk to David
Maybe
Orr
they're just
about
so
them.
close together.
Then I'll go to the 3rd full
Is
screen
there
and
an
come back to
earpiece
talk
in
to
here
him
somewhere?
again.
Earpiece monitor?
There's gotta be. I only shot videos with it, so I had to use my earpiece. I wish it was more helpful.
That's okay.
I just, I was so limited. I
I'll figure it
shot
out.
outside.
I'll figure it out later.
This way?
Yeah, just for a second.
Let's get out of the way, right? Hello, Cheryl. Well, the turnout, as you said, has been magnificent, not only across Chicago and Cook County, but across the state and in many other places across the country as well. The I-Team has been taking emails and phone calls from a number of voters and viewers across Chicagoland, and several of them we'd like to share with you now. The first from a woman in Winnetka, Jean Quinnen, who 2 weeks ago says she voted early, but when she went today to check on whether or not her vote was cast, she was still able to get a ballot, she says. And not only that, she says, I could have been cleared to vote a second time, but worse, it was conceivable that no previously voted ballot had been filed in my behalf. And in a second email from Jordan Riedel of Des Plaines, who says that he went to vote today and found that his wife, who had cast an early vote, was not on the list. I don't want to sound alarmist, he says, but if it's true that early voters are not identified correctly at the polls today, the possibility of fraud could exist. David Orr, the Cook County Clerk, what are you doing to make sure that people who voted early do not go to the polls and vote a second time, and that there's some kind of a paper trail for this?
Well, first of all, that doesn't happen, okay? That we have the 225,000 people that voted early, they're all on sheets like this. This goes to every precinct at 6 o'clock in the morning. And a sheet like this, it would say who voted early, and then the judges are asked, which they should do, is they simply stamp. They stamp on the application of all the people who voted early or absentee, something like that.
Yes, I do.
That says
Early voter.
early voter.
So the point is, are you asking, is it possible that a judge might have stamped the wrong name? That's possible, but very unlikely. So nothing is perfect, but I don't think we have to worry about it.
It does still take a human being, though, to check the list and say, this person voted early, they should not be standing in front of me asking for a ballot.
Everything takes human thing. Let me give you another example where someone thought they had a problem, they didn't. A woman came in whose name I won't mention, and she was told, well, you've already voted. Okay. Well, what happened is it's one with the same name, which there's plenty of those in suburban Cook County, and when the person voted early, when the judge looked up the person's name, they picked the wrong name. The same name, but there's 2 different people with different residences. So the point is, when the other person came with the same name, they were allowed to vote provisionally, and as long as it's not the same person, both of them votes will count and be fine.
Another voter email to the I-Team today from Susan Schmidt of Schaumburg. Here it is. Machines down, she says. Paper ballots were distributed at her polling place without the 2 referenda. She says, quote, this makes the entire paper ballot accuracy questionable. Were there some ballots today in Cook County that
No.
didn't have the constitutional question and the other referendum?
No, that's not possible. Let me emphasize, remember we have 1 million voters, we have 2,300 precincts, we have 12,000 judges, and sometimes voters may get that information mixed up. The Constitutional Convention is everywhere. We had a couple of voters that were looking for at the end of the ballot, which is a mistake. Referenda are at the end of the ballot. But the con was the very first of the ballot. So there may be some people that were looking at the end and couldn't find it.
There's always confusion.
Well, there's always some confusion,
With some people.
but I want to emphasize, remember we got, I've been out there and you can talk to a lot of judges, is that these are most likely mistakes on the part of the person that doesn't quite understand.
We're still
It's
looking
on-
at
It's on all the ballots.
80 to 85% turnout, you think, or more?
It's all a guess. I'm a little concerned that the turnout this afternoon was considerably slower than I thought. So I still think it's going to be a big turnout. Whether or not it's going to break the 80%, I'm not sure, only because, like I said, this afternoon was slower.
Okay, David Orr, thanks so much, appreciate it. We will take a look at the turnout on the city side coming up in just about an hour on our newscast at 6. And that's the latest from the Cook County Election Board. Ron? Okay.
Just on the one point about listening, let me explain that a little bit more, because I don't want to use a woman's name, but let's say woman X, Sally Smith. Sally Smith voted early. Now, what the judges do at the early voting, it's all, remember, they have the laptops, because that's the way of making sure that no one can vote twice there. Okay, so it's real time. Now, there's several Sally Smiths. She takes this one Sally Smith, and frankly, she makes an error because she got this Sally Smith, but a different address. So Sally Smith voted early. Then the second Sally Smith showed up today to vote, because this did happen. The second Sally Smith showed up today, and they said, sorry, you can't vote. She says, what are you talking about? I didn't vote. Okay, and so they let her vote a provisional ballot, which was good. The staff checked it out, and they found out the Sally Smith is the Sally Smith, but the judge made a mistake on the first one. So the point is, 2 Sally Smiths voted, and 2 Sally Smiths should have voted. See what I mean?
Okay.
So that's
2 different addresses.
Yeah. So the point is that there always can be error, but I want to emphasize 225,000 names. They're all on these sheets. Now, if a judge, because there were some cases where a judge said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to that as soon as I should have." Okay. So, like, let's say a judge did the stamping at 6:30, and somebody came in asking at 6:20, they might say, "Well, gee, well." So I don't really think there's a problem at all. And if there was, they'd be caught.
Yeah, and if not today,
Right.
certainly before the official candidate.
Yeah, because we would have 2 applications, and we would, but, remember, I've been around a long time. There could be people that want to cheat, but it's just very hard to do it. Very hard to do it.